Coming up, Cherokee stuntwoman and trick rider Haley Ganzel tells us how her life was turned upside down when she was just 5 years old and how she adds her own flair to a trick riding family tradition.
We all had horses from the time could remember. So that's all I've ever known, is to be in the barn, be with the horses, and I guess it taught me to be who I am today.
And teaching Cherokee history and culture through fashion.
The small things that I do may have an impact on someone younger than I am, and hopefully that will perpetuate Cherokee clothing.
Cherokee National Treasure Tonia Weavel shares our tribe's story through the clothes we've worn from pre-European contact to today. And she tells us how sewing changed her life forever. And 11 World War II and Korean War veterans share stories and lessons from the wars that shaped their lives and our country.
I was in France 21 days after D-Day. There was a patrol of 5 of us that was sent to the center of Paris.
We jog their memories as they walk the memorials erected in their honor in Washington, D.C.
The Cherokees.
A thriving American Indian tribe.
Our history.
Our culture. Our people.
Our future.
The principles of a historic nation.
Sewn into the fabric of a modern world.
Hundreds of thousands strong.
Learning. Growing.
Succeeding.
And stood fast.
In the past, we have persevered through struggle.
But the future is ours to write.
Osiyo.
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 These are the voices of the Cherokee people.
I'm Principal Chief Bill John Baker. Osiyo, and welcome to the Cherokee Nation. We're so proud to share our stories with you. Wado.
Osiyo, it's how we say hello in Cherokee. Today's show features several brave Cherokees who have served our country, shined a light on traditional Cherokee clothing, and wowed crowds across the country. Haley Ganzel was just 5 years old when she decided riding a horse on a saddle wasn't good enough. With trick riding blood running through her veins, she now puts her own spin on a rodeo halftime show that takes her and her horses from coast to coast.
Let's put our hands together out here for the one and only Haley Ganzel.
I'm Haley Ganzel, and I'm a professional trick rider and specialty act. I travel across the country and entertain people. I'm hired to come and perform and give the crowd something to cheer for and something that's a little bit different than the competition. So there's a completely different thrill with that. It's an adrenaline rush. All I've wanted to do since I was little is make people smile, and I get to do that every weekend, week in and week out. I grew up in Collinsville, Oklahoma, just north of Tulsa. My grandparents and my uncle were all in Collinsville right there, so we all had horses from the time could remember. So that's all I've ever known, is to be in the barn, be with the horses. When I was 5, I got my first trick riding horse. My uncle started teaching me how to trick ride. He's the 5-time National Finals Rodeo Specialty Act. I got to perform with him from 5 years old on. It's a family thing. I get to look up to him, and there's so much to learn from my family. They all rodeoed, but he was the trick rider. I was born 2 months premature, so I was in the hospital for 2 months after I was born. I only weighed 2 pounds and 10 ounces when I was born. The doctors told my parents that just be prepared for a life full of setbacks. I know my mom went through a lot. I stopped breathing at one point when I came home. My dad had to give me baby CPR, and I was exceptionally small for so long. But I outgrew everything that they said I was going to set me back.
We used to just ride horses all the time, and she'd go. Every time she'd come, she'd want to ride a horse, you know. When she was about 3 years old, she started doing that. And I'm proud of her, you know, for everything she's done. So far, you know, she's kind of lived up to her dream. My parents never told me I was anything but special, and I was gonna do great things. And they went with me everywhere. I traveled the country so much, and they'd have to take off work, and they would have to. I mean, I was 5; I couldn't just go. And they made it possible for me to go. They were always encouraging. So now it just comes natural I want to be the best that I can be, and I want to help others be the best that they can be. And I have a soft spot for kids. I love little kids, and I love helping them. I love helping them do things that they can't. And if that means with my horses, or my mom and dad are both teachers, so I love working at the schools, and that's what I want to do when I grow up is help kids overcome things that limit them.
I broke my foot twice and I broke my arm, but I haven't had any serious injuries. When I was 9, I had a girl she was a lot older than me, she was an adult, and she was doing the same trick I was fixing to do. They had us all standing up at the end, and I was right after her, and she actually broke her neck in the arena right in front of me. Everyone I remember in the corner was telling me, no, don't do it, you don't have to do it. And I told my dad, I said, I have to, or else I'm not gonna wanna do it again. It was horrifying, but it was also life-changing, because after that, it was scarier. It gave me something to fear. And I remember when I was 5, I had no fears at all. It was never, someone told me to do something and I would do it. It didn't scare me. And as I got older, that changed. My uncle retired a couple years ago, and so I begged him from the time I was a little kid. All I wanted was, for Christmas and my birthday, just please show me how to work your dancing horse. I was so intrigued by him, and I loved him so much. And I grew up with him. I mean, he was always there. And so finally, a year ago, actually this month, he started teaching me the ropes on how to work him, and it was his pride and joy. So he really stepped out of the box of letting me take him and letting me further my career with him. His name's Cisco, but his stage name's Crazy Cloud. Whenever he comes out, the audience knows him as Crazy Cloud. He bows and he marches and he says hello. The relationship I have with my horses is indescribable. They are my best friends because they're the ones that are on the road with me all the time. They're in the arena. They share my ups and my downs with me because they make me who I am in the arena. I was in the movie Cowgirls and Angels and the sequel, Dakota Summer, and I not only got to do the stunt work for it, I got to play the character of Rose. And I was the only girl that stunt doubled that got cast in it as well. And it was such a different world, but it was so much fun. My family got to be a part of it. They were on the set with me. I mean, my horses were all a part of it. It was all my stuff. I even got to wear my own wardrobe because they liked that I had the real stuff. And so it was a really cool experience. It's a performance, it's a show, really. We have to know how to get the crowd's attention. You have to know what they like and if they're into it, and you can read your crowd. So we've met people that have followed us for a couple years, and we didn't even know that they were our fans, and they followed us on social media, or they've seen us at one place and follow us to the next, and that's gotten to be really cool, is to get to see people that come over and over again. We feel like rock stars out there. I mean, it really is. It's a great feeling, and I hope that I get to do it until I can't anymore.
Tonia Hogner Weavel has spent the last 20 years in front of her sewing machine creating traditional Cherokee clothing. She's best known for her women's tear dresses, but Tonia's textile work tells the story of the Cherokee people through time.
I'm Tonia Hogner Weavel. I'm the Education Director at the Cherokee Heritage Center, and I'm a National Treasure designated in textiles and was given the honor in 2012. My history of sewing comes from my mother, who taught me to embroider and to do handwork, which was what most people my age and older knew how to do. You first learn to do handwork. So you start slow. And I, like very, very many other women of my age, took home ec in high school. And that's where I learned to sew. I create Cherokee clothing from all time periods. Typically, the biggest thing that I do are tear dresses. Tear dress is considered today the official dress for Cherokee women. It is typically a cotton, print, or calico dress that is embellished with ribbons and diamond cutworks, and all of our beautiful Cherokee women wear these dresses to represent the Cherokee culture. Today, almost all of our ambassadors wear tear dresses, are girls. Miss Cherokee, Junior Miss Cherokee, and all of our little Miss Cherokees, they all typically have a tear dress. The history of the tear dress is very curious because it is not a traditional dress that we wore in the 1800s. It is a likeness of a working woman's or utilitarian dress. Every piece of a tear dress is either square or a rectangle, thus making it very easy to tear the fabric to make the dress. People want to call it a tear dress because of the Trail of Tears, and most people think that that's the style of clothing that was worn on the removal, but that's not true. Once the removal came, I'm sure it was hard times, and the recovery period from the removal forced those women to wear whatever they had. But as time progressed, the tear dress never really played a significant space in our historical Cherokee clothing. It was not until the 1950s and 60s when there was a revival of Cherokee resurgence. When the Cherokee Youth Choir was designated, they had 50 children in the Cherokee Youth Choir, and all of those children needed to be dressed. Wendell Cochran was designated as the costumer, and he asked me to make dresses because they had to have 50 outfits right away. So I was hired to make tear dresses. It came at a time when it was a real blessing to me, and I had 2 small children, and I didn't have a job, and it saw me through a real hard time. In a big way, tear dresses helped me financially and mentally. And when I began to sew for the choir this massive amount of tear dresses, I am a night owl, and so I wake up about midnight, and that's my most productive time. So that's when I would sew because I didn't have a job, and I would just sew through the night, and my children would sleep at my feet. So it was, it's just a real special memory. I've worked at the Cherokee Heritage Center since 2000, and I have a long legacy with the Heritage Center. I really like my job. If anybody's ever driven out to the Heritage Center and you think, ooh, I could drive out here every day and work, that's what I think every morning when I go to work. I love my job and I love what I do. I was asked to help design the clothing for Delacroix. So I was able to do that. We were able to match because of the time period, 1710. We would have been trading, and so we would have had access to textiles. So you'll see deerskin and textiles, deerskin and a linen shirt. And that was very typical of that time period and what men were wearing. I take this as a huge responsibility because we're going to have hundreds of thousands of people come in the next 20 years to Delacroix. And they're going to see these clothes, they're going to see the villagers, and they're going to remember them as this is what a Cherokee is. They're going to forget what people said, but they're going to have taken a picture, or they'll have in their mind's eye, this is what a Cherokee looks like. So I began to research Cherokee clothing. There is not one book that says, this is how Cherokees dressed in 1500. You have to search those things. And when you read accounts of Cherokee history, it took a lot of research. And the more I researched, the more I wanted to know. And the more I realized how little I did know. And I really went on about a year-long search to find out what Cherokee men and women would have worn in 1710. In 2013, I was asked to help costume Tania, a musical play by Becky Hobbs. And that was a lot of fun too. And my major is theater. So to be involved in musical theater was real delightful for me. So I costumed the show that just recently played. And Cherokee people especially have a gift to share with each other. And if that's through art or clothing or whatever it is, I'm proud to be part of that because the small things that I do may have an impact on someone younger than I am. And hopefully that will perpetuate Cherokee clothing. Our people were aesthetically pleasing. They wanted things that were beautiful and practical. So we're all those things. And just as our clothing were those things, so are our people. And I'm proud to be part of that.
On October 22, 1836, Sam Houston became the first president of the Republic of Texas. Known as an advocate for Native rights during his political career, Houston had a unique relationship with Native Americans, specifically Cherokees. As a teenager in Tennessee, Houston ran away from home and was drawn to a settlement of Cherokees on an island in the Hiawassee River, where he lived for several years. There, Houston was adopted by Chief Uluteka, also known as John Jolly, and given the name Colone, or the Raven. Houston, depicted here in formal Cherokee attire, adopted the tribe's ways and became fluent in the Cherokee language. Upon his return to the white world, he became a successful military officer and protege of Andrew Jackson, a relationship for which he has been criticized since Jackson would eventually be behind the Cherokees' forced removal to Indian Territory. Houston served in the U.S. Congress and eventually became the governor of Tennessee. After a scandal in 1829, Houston resigned his office and fled to Indian Territory, current-day Oklahoma, where he was reunited with his adoptive father, Chief Uluteka. During his 3 years in Indian Territory, Houston traveled to Washington, D.C. as a tribal representative and ran a trading post near Fort Gibson. On October 21, 1829, General Houston was formally adopted by the Western Cherokee, or Old Settlers as they're now called, and as this document states, he was granted all the rights, privileges, and immunities of Native Cherokees. In 1832, Houston switched his focus to Texas, where he moved and ultimately became its governor.
Geology Iniwonihi. Let's talk Cherokee. First phrase in English. What is the weather like? Gado usti galsti doidil. What is the weather like? Gado usti galsti doidil. It is warm. Ugahnawa. It is warm. Ugahnawa. It is hot. Udichleki. It is hot. Udichleki. It is cold. Uhyadlan. It is cold. Uhyadlan.
We call them Cherokee Warriors, the men who fought for the United States in World War II and the Korean War. 11 of those veterans say they were honored to be chosen to go on this year's Warrior flight to Washington, D.C., and we're honored to share their stories with you.
When they contacted me about this particular flight, I told them, I said, well, you know, I'd love to go.
This trip is something I've looked forward to for a while. It means a lot to me.
My name is Charles Scott, and I was in World War II.
W.C. Chamberlain. I was in World War II.
Served in the Navy in 1944 to 1946. I was in the Philippines on a cargo ship. After they dropped the bombs, of course, the war was over, and they told us to unload everything there on the docks and come home.
I was in the Navy for 4 years and in World War II from 1942 until 1946. I grew up a lot, you know, as most young kids do that join the service like that when they're young.
I had a dad, he was World War I veteran, and he had 7 boys, and every one of those boys went to the military. 4 in World War II and 3 in Korea, and 4 brothers are on this trip. I think that's what a tribute to my dad. I'm proud to be a veteran.
We have some very special customers on board this aircraft today. We have some veterans from the Korean War and World War II, and we would like to honor them today if we could by letting them board first. And thank you very much for your service to our country.
I was in the Army Air Force. That was before there was ever a regular Air Force. I was in France 21 days after D-Day. There was a patrol of 5 of us that was sent to the center of Paris. They told us to see if they fired at us. I thought, well, that seems to be an indication of how much expendable we are. It's probably a 2-mile walk, and that was the most eerie thing that I ever went through. But we took pictures of the Arc de Triomphe there, and I think I got the names of all 5 in that patrol. I just can't imagine a society putting up with what Hitler managed to accomplish. It had to happen. Everybody had to pull in unison to take care of the situation. I can't tell you what it felt like. We knew that everybody was going.
The new World War II memorial is something that you'll never forget.
I thought that it would be just a good thing to do, to come back and see the memorials and see the shipmates' names that was on the memorial that had lost their lives.
This trip, it means a lot to me. There was 4 of us went and 2 came back. My older brother and I were the ones that came back. My younger brother was, the last time I saw him, he was in high school. Shot down over Linz, Austria, and I had a letter from my older brother that there were no parachutes, and he went up and took care of his belongings. I will be looking.
It's just a lot of history, and I enjoy seeing this history.
I think it's very important to memorialize those military incidents.
My only son was killed in Vietnam. He got killed in 1972. My son's name is Edward Burnett.
Right up this side.
He's on that memorial, you know.
All of those memorials like that, I think is very important. It's history. I mean, we can't ignore our history. If the young kids have an opportunity to go view them, to visit them. I don't know how many families nowadays take their children to those types of things, but I would hope that they do. And these types of memorials are things that keep that alive.
Our generation everybody was involved in the war, and had to be. I would think that the world leaders would at least be able to absorb enough of the history of the catastrophe that World War II was to keep from having something like that again.
We hope you enjoyed today's show. And remember, you can always watch entire episodes and share your favorite stories online at Osio.tv. There is no Cherokee word for goodbye because we know we'll see you again. So until next time, Wado. It's your turn to visit the Cherokee Nation and explore 66,000 acres of lush Oklahoma countryside, scenic lakes and rivers, and engaging cultural attractions like the Cherokee Heritage Center in Park Hill, Oklahoma. Built in 1967, the Cherokee Heritage Center is a great place to immerse yourself in Cherokee culture, history, and art. The Cherokee Heritage Center includes the Cherokee National Museum, the Cherokee Family Research Center, our National Archives, Adams Corner Rural Village, and Diligua, a replica of a 1710 Cherokee village. The site of the Cherokee Heritage Center is itself historic. It's built on the original grounds of the Cherokee National Female Seminary, the first institution of higher learning for women west of the Mississippi. Thousands of women, both Cherokee and non-Cherokee, received world-class educations at the seminary until it burned in 1887. It was rebuilt in Tahlequah, Oklahoma, but today, 3 of the original school's columns mark the entrance to the Heritage Center. Inside, you'll find the Cherokee National Museum, where visitors can learn the history of Cherokee Nation through several exhibits, from our original homelands in the southeastern U.S. across the Trail of Tears to Indian Territory and into Oklahoma statehood and beyond. The gallery space at the Heritage Center is home to the annual Cherokee Homecoming Art Show and Sale and the Trail of Tears Art Show, as well as other temporary and traveling exhibits. Diligua is the most popular cultural attraction in the Cherokee Nation. Situated on the Heritage Center grounds, Diligua is a historically accurate replica of a Cherokee village from the year 1710, after European contact. Visitors take a guided tour of the village and experience authentic Cherokee life and history. Learn the purpose behind each structure and how our Cherokee ancestors made and traded everyday goods, from basket and finger weaving to flint knapping and moccasins. You can even catch a game of stickball. The Cherokee Heritage Center is open year-round. To learn more and to plan your next visit, go to visitcherokeenation.com.
In the Cherokee Nation, news happens every day.
Cherokee Nation's economic impact on the state of Oklahoma now exceeds $2 billion.
The dollars that are generated here are creating jobs.
It benefits everyone. Creating headlines.
The new 469,000 square foot health facility is the result of the largest joint venture agreement ever.
For the people of the Cherokee Nation, and will impact them for generations to come.
Creating opportunities.
Cherokee Nation employees can now take 8 weeks of paid maternity leave.
We have lots of young mothers and young families, and this is something that's very exciting.
This year, the tribe awarded $5 million to superintendents from about 100 public school districts.
When it comes to education, we're all in it together.
Creating a better place to call home.
The Wilma P. Mankeller Health Center in Stillwell, Oklahoma, nearly doubled in size.
That this absolutely will make a tremendous impact on the quality of life. That's going to provide more jobs.
For more Cherokee Nation news, visit onadiskoe.com.